Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Yorkshire Voice with me, Noah Hoffman. Our top stories this afternoon. McFly drummer Harry Judd joins us to mark Mental Health Awareness Week. The leader of the Yorkshire Party discusses their surprising success in recent local elections. And we look ahead to Monday when the next set of lockdown restrictions are set to be eased. But first, today we are bringing you a special report on the issue of gender reassignment surgeries, in particular double mastectomies. I investigated the effect that current NHS waiting times for these procedures are having on individuals who feel desperately in need of them. For as long as he can remember, Harry Podmore has felt out of sync with the gender he was assigned at birth. Though biologically female, through childhood and his teenage years, Harry knew that he could not live authentically as a woman. Harry felt that the only way he could be comfortable in his own skin would be through a biological transition, which would enable him to live as a man. For Harry, this would involve having his breasts removed in a procedure known as top surgery. For many trans men, top surgery is integral to feeling mentally and physically at ease.
I chose to go private for hormones and surgery rather than NHS, mainly due to the wait times. The physical and or emotional consequences of waiting for NHS to medically transition is physically binding. A lot of trans men bind their chest, which flattens your breasts. So wearing something that's that tight every single day for years and years is, as you can imagine, not very healthy. I've heard of people break their ribs because they've coughed while wearing a binder. It's not fun.
As of March this year, nearly 2,500 people were still waiting for an initial appointment with Leeds and York NHS Foundation Trust Gender Identity Service. Now, with the NHS under significant pressure from the coronavirus crisis, trans men could face multi-year waiting times for vital surgery and hormone treatments. The consequences of this can be emotionally and physically challenging for many trans men, so it's no wonder that a large amount of people are turning to the private route.
I had to go private because it just would have been way too long.
Like Harry, Thom Harrison also established a GoFundMe page to raise money for private top surgery due to multi-year long NHS waiting times.
On the NHS pathway, I would have felt like hopeless. The consequences are like horrific. I don't know, like just to make you so mentally ill. You're constantly aware of like how people could be reading you and seeing you, and it's not you. I mean, very many people will get suicidal. People do commit suicide.
Thom is feeling much better in himself since having top surgery in the past year, and Harry is looking forward to having his breasts removed later this month.
When I'm fully healed a couple of months down the line, I'll be able to go back to everything I can do now and more. Even just having a shower and putting the towel around my waist will be something small that I and other people really look forward to when they've had surgery.
Harry Podmore there ending that report. Now, this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, and to mark it, McFly drummer Harry Judd has been lending his support to the Take a Breath campaign. The campaign centres on the benefits that nature can have for our mental health, particularly during these tumultuous times. A free ebook has been created as part of the campaign, which includes personal anecdotes and advice from Harry.
The past year has been very difficult for people's mental health, and there's been research to show that reconnecting with nature has helped with people's mental well-being. So yeah, that's what this is all about, really. Getting that message out there for a whole wide range of people, whatever your struggles may be. certainly heard people close to me saying that they feel a bit anxious about going back to normal life and reconnecting with other people. And yeah, so it's a very important time to kind of, reset and re-emerge, I guess, back into some sort of normality. And, I think a really nice way to be able to do that is to get outside and take time for yourself and reconnect with nature, which is something that a lot of people have done during lockdown. People have been out exploring a bit more, been out walking, and I'm sure many have experienced firsthand the benefits that they felt. So I think it's something that hopefully people will continue if they've already been doing it, and something that through this ebook people can discover if they haven't already. I think when you're in music, you can spend a lot of time cooped up inside in your own head, working on music, in rehearsal rooms, in studios, dark places inside. And something I've really noticed in the past few years, like when I'm in that environment, I just need to get out. I need to get outside. Like if I know I'm going to spend the whole day in the studio, I'll try and get outside in the morning and go for a walk, go for a run, or split up the day, lunch break, get outside. Even if the weather's bad, it's something really important for my kind of mental well-being.
That was McFly's Harry Judd. And if you want to download the ebook, you can find it on Simply Health's website. Now, earlier today, I spoke to Emily Cotter, marketing officer from mental health charity Leeds Mind. I began by asking her what the week is all about.
Mental Health Awareness Week is an awareness week, as the title suggests. It's run by the Mental Health Foundation, and every year it kind of revolves around a specific theme that you talk about issues around mental health. So it's really important for everybody to be speaking about mental health more, because that's the most powerful way that we can break down the stigma that does still exist around mental health. So we know that people can really struggle with mental health issues such as depression or anxiety, but because of that stigma, it stops them from speaking out and seeking help.
Absolutely. And I suppose it is all well and good and very important to be able to speak out about mental health. But I suppose what even is the point of doing that if mental health service provisions are lacking? How would you assess the current state of mental health service provisions in the UK?
Yeah, so it's been a problem that pre-existed the pandemic, that mental health services were already really stretched. And then we know that the last year has had a really profound impact on everyone's mental health. And that's people who were already dealing with mental health conditions and people who have never experienced mental health difficulties before.
Going back to this year's Mental Health Awareness Week theme around accessing nature and green spaces, what connection does nature have to mental health, and how can it help people increase their well-being?
Yeah, so over years, we've seen the connection between accessing nature and relieving things like anxiety and mild to moderate depression. And there's a whole host of reasons why that is. So whether it's because you are getting physically active by getting outside, even if it's just a gentle walk, whether it's kind of taking in natural light and the release of serotonins because of that. And it can also help you to stay present. So a lot of the problems that we see, if somebody's experiencing anxiety, they're either ruminating on the past or they're future gazing. And if you are out having to concentrate on a walking route or looking around you at the nature in your local park, then you're more likely to be in the present moment.
Emily Cotter, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
A really important conversation there with Emily, and mental health is something that we should all learn about, we should all be aware of, and take time to help those around us who may be suffering from various issues in relation to mental health. And now, young people in Leeds will be able to benefit from being outdoors by taking part in a programme run by the charity Catch. The project hopes to encourage young people to get outside and learn to grow their own plants and food.
Grow Together is a project that we launched this spring, and the idea really is to get young people equipped with vital skills for growing fruits, growing vegetables, especially here in the Hare Hills where you have high levels of deprivation, low access to green space. So here at Catch, it's a really ideal space to be doing this, and all of the young volunteers are working together to learn how to plant, to learn how to grow, and to learn how to build the raised beds. So we're teaching them how to grow kind of every step of the way, and they're really leading the charge on growing fresh vegetables and fruit, and it's really exciting.
It's like a sanctuary here. It's great for people to learn how to grow their own food, and for the whole community once the food has grown and we've managed to plant the plants, and everyone can come here and enjoy the benefits of it.
We try to teach kids about life and about responsibilities and what it is to be an energy who would help the community. So we have a lot of volunteers coming here doing all kinds of things. You can see they're doing some gardening right now. And through these activities, they become more responsible, and they also understand the value of giving their time to others.
Last week, voters took to the polls to have their say in local elections. Labour candidate Tracy Brabin was elected as West Yorkshire's first ever Metro Mayor. However, the performance of the Yorkshire Party surprised many after they came third place ahead of the Greens and the Lib Dems. Brabin's success has left an opening in Batley and Spen, and ahead of this by-election, we spoke to Bob Buxton, leader of the Yorkshire Party.
Well, of course, we've got the Batley and Spen by-election. We'll contest that very hard, building on the momentum that we've got. There'll be thousands of people from within that constituency who voted for us just last week. So we're building it there in Batley and Spen. Looking towards the locals, of course, next locals a year away. Like I say, we're going to target more. We're not going to say publicly where we're going to target, obviously. And, we've certainly got plans there. We're looking at where we've been well received.
Disputes over the practice of fire and rehire are ongoing following a Unite the Union protest which was held in Horsforth on Monday. Protesters at the scene urged the government to ban large companies from the practice, which sees employees fired in large numbers only to be rehired on renegotiated contracts with significant reductions in pay.
Bad bosses are finding an excuse to sack people and then bring them back again because they still need them. So it's not about, having to get rid of people because they're not needed. They're bringing them back on worse terms and conditions because actually that just makes a bigger profit. It's a really disgusting practice.
I think it's a really despicable thing, and I think that the government should be legislating for things like that to prevent things like this.
Of firing a bunch of people in bulk and then rehiring them, giving them lesser pay for that same job, that's not all right.
Now on Monday, the next phase of the government's roadmap out of lockdown comes into force. After 14 months of restrictions, this next stage will see indoor gatherings return, cinemas reopen, and outdoor gatherings of up to 30 people take place. We asked residents in Horsforth about their experiences of lockdown and about how they feel about Monday's new rules.
I travel a lot for a living, so I've not been travelling, so it's a different dynamic for my family. So for me and our family, it's been tough, but we got through it and we just try and stick together. But without a question, it's been the toughest 12 months of our life in and out of our house and business, yeah.
It's been a long time and people's lives have been disrupted and changed so much. Do a world of good.
I think coming out of lockdown is quite difficult as well, because you've been so used to staying in that when you can go out, you're a bit frightened about how you'll cope with all the everyday things that used to come normally.
One sector which has been waiting to reopen for many months is indoor hospitality. As of Monday, we will no longer have to layer up to have a drink or bite to eat at our favourite pubs and restaurants. Our reporter Sarah Dewars has more.
Restaurants, pubs, bars and cafes have been enjoying outdoor service for almost a month now. However, from Monday, these venues will finally be allowed to open up indoors again. For many food and drink businesses across Yorkshire, this will mark the first time reopening since December's national lockdown. In Harrogate, staff of the Pitcher and Piano Bar are preparing to welcome back customers for the first time in months. Due to having insufficient space, management made the call not to reopen outdoors last month. But with indoor table service finally back in action from next week, workers at the Pitcher and Piano are raring to get going once more.
So Monday, obviously, big day for us. Haven't been open since the 30th of December. So full day of trading, open from 12 o'clock. Loads of bookings in already. It's looking like it's going to be a really healthy day. Kind of preparations that we're doing today, getting our outside space ready, bit of jet washing, bit of painting, bar set up, glasses, stock, just making sure that everything's going to be perfect because everyone's really excited this time for the reopening.
I'm looking forward to reopening on Monday. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a long time coming. I've spent the last 4 months on furlough, which has been really nice, and I felt pretty privileged to have the 4 months off paid for, obviously at 8%, but it's better than nothing. But yeah, bring on Monday. Can't wait for it.
There's definitely still some battles ahead. I mean, economically, I think there will be a massive boost for the industry itself. Obviously, there's quite a huge staff shortage at the moment, but we're working with what we've got, and we'll make it through, I think. Obviously, with the furlough support being there until the end of September, that's a big relief for PLCs and companies as a whole. But I think the general feeling is that it's positive, and everyone's just looking forward to getting their doors back open again.
Residents in Harrogate, like the rest of England, are very much looking forward to the next phase of lockdown easing. While alfresco dining can be delightful, on a rainy day it's more of a challenge, and there's nothing more likely to bring town centres back to life than reopening the entirety of their hospitality industries.
And it's not just the hospitality industry that will be implementing changes from Monday. People will also be able to travel abroad on holiday for the first time this year. However, Jonathan Tighe, Managing Director of Oakwood Travel Ltd, says people are still hesitant to travel overseas.
Clientele are generally repeat customers of the upper age from 50 upwards. And I think there is still hesitation. Interest is there. I've had 4 inquiries this morning to do today, which I didn't have last week. So definitely there's something there. But confidence is still very limited. 3 weeks is best than last summer, where it was 1 week. So we had the scenario that you book your holiday 1 week, and the next week the destination is removed from the list, so the industry doesn't know where it is for the customer. Oakwood Travel. Well, if you get to a destination and you have to be tested and you test positive, you do realise that you can be then stranded in that destination for 10 days, 2 weeks before you're tested again to come home. So that's still a real possibility.
Now, for those amongst you who are avid viewers of Yorkshire Voice, you may remember our friends at Wakefield Cathedral, the Peregrine Falcons. Francis Hickenbottom from the Wakefield Cathedral Peregrine Project provides an update on the chicks.
May the 8th, it rained and rained and rained all morning, and people watching were commenting on Facebook, and they were beginning to worry about the birds. And I spend a lot of my time reassuring people, because I've watched them for years and I don't worry at all. The poor female was just tight on the chick. She wouldn't move for hours, and she was saturated. She really looked wet through. And when it's raining like that, because these birds catch other birds in the air, they couldn't get food from the chicks because the other birds don't fly. So there was no food coming in, and we had this bird that's saturated. And I just have to reassure people, and I tell them all the time, these birds are as hard as nails.
Tuesday, the 22nd of June marks Windrush Day, an occasion that honours the British Caribbean community and people who travelled to the UK following the Second World War. To mark the occasion, we will be running a special Windrush-themed programme tomorrow, which will feature interviews with numerous members of the Chapeltown community.
The indigenous population weren't
taking on the job. So the Windrush generation filled that gap.
I think the reality is there were very few parents or very few people in that generation who had a long-term plan in terms of states.
It's important to celebrate it because it's important. It's part of history, and it's important that people like myself and who are younger understand about the Windrush generation, what it took to get here.
That's about all we have time for in today's programme. Before I go, we would like to wish Eid Mubarak to everyone celebrating today here in Yorkshire. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for our special programme. Goodbye.